Alright, so Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls versus 2XKO. The battle to be the best tag fighter begins. So yeah, as you guys can guess, for today's video, I want to talk about these two fighting games that are on the way currently as of the time of this recording. And yeah, ever since the reveal of Marvel Tōkon, I've been thinking a lot about how it's gonna stack up against 2XKO and what's gonna be like the more successful tag fighter. Now, initially, my idea for this video and the points I wanted to discuss were all formulated before 2XKO hit us with the news of, the, I guess, technical release date being September 9th, which is like the closed beta, but that's going to be the game until it actually releases. So that does kind of make some of these points that I had written down a little different, but still, the crazy thing is that I feel like the rivalry between these two games is already there, because as soon as 2XKO was like, oh yeah, this is the release of the beta and here's our new character, bam, Marvel was like, oh, by the way, we're gonna be at EVO with a playable demo. Here's news about our game. Here's some screenshots of our game. It's like already I see the rivalry stacking up. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is dead ass giving me flashbacks of Dragon Ball FighterZ versus MVCI in 2017, bro. Because I remember the second MVCI was like, oh yeah, either the game was like releasing or they just gave news about the game. FighterZ was like, oh hey, well here's our game, here's a playable demo of our game, here's early access to our game, to try and compete with each other. And it's just like, wow, bro, when Arc Sys makes a fighting game, they don't fuck around, bro. They do want to be on top. They want to be the best tag fighter, like, period. They will do anything to beat out any other tag fighter trying to compete, bruh. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, it's also even more interesting because, MVCI was competing against Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite made by Capcom going up against Dragon Ball FighterZ made by Arc System Works. Now, I mean, we all know Dragon Ball FighterZ was the better game and, was a lot more successful, was, I think, Arc System Works' most successful game to date. Like, just did insane numbers, insane things for fighting games, for anime games, and for Arc System Works as a whole. But it was pretty clear who the victor was in that battle, tag fighters, right? Now we got a Marvel tag fighter being made by Arc System Works. So I think that's kind of funny and ironic and interesting how that came to be, Marvel was like, all right, listen, we seen what y'all did, now we want some of that, you know what I'm saying? And man, I mean, the game just kind of got revealed out of nowhere in the Sony State of Play that honestly, I was so hyped. You guys can see my reaction video, but I was so hyped. And then I remembered later on, like, wait a minute, 2XKO is still a thing. Like, that game still exists, right? So then that got me thinking about, like, what's gonna happen, because 2XKO was gonna be, I think, a big game when they were, first revealing it, first talking about it. Like, oh, well, it's League IP, that's huge for a lot of people. Riot, they tend to do really well with their games. It's a fighting game, it's free to play, it's cross-plat, it's being made with a lot of the same people that were really huge in the FGC, in the scene of Marvel vs. Capcom, right? You had like Clockwork, Marlon Pie on the team in development for this game for 2XKO. So it was like, yo, to me that really stood out, because I mean, you guys didn't know, I was huge into the scene of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 specifically. I would watch like every single tournament. I loved watching Clockwork, loved watching Marlon Pie compete. IFC Yipes, Mega Man Steve, Dr. Snake Tits, Dominion Chris G. Like, everybody that now as like a FighterZ guy or a Guilty Gear guy, like Apology Man, Cloud 805, all these people, I knew them from Marvel 3. Like, I watched them all growing up competing in tournaments. So I was huge into the Marvel 3 scene. And like when 2XKO was like, oh yeah, we got Clockwork and Marlon Pie working on this game, I was like, okay, y'all got it. Y'all know what y'all doing, and I'ma trust y'all, because that to me was just like, wow, okay, like they're actually getting people that are like in the scene, like locked in like that for a tag fighter, and that really impressed me, right? But afterwards, it felt like we weren't getting any real news or updates of the game for so long, and it just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And then all the alphas and like, you know, closed test or whatever, I never got to like experience. And also there wasn't really a whole lot of characters in the game to where I would have wanted to like play, right? Now that Jinx has officially been revealed and she's like in the game, I'm definitely a lot more hype. But before Jinx got revealed, I wasn't really that excited for the game because there wasn't a character for me, right? But like, I think Jinx is super cool. I've always thought she was really cool. So now that she's in the game, hey, we got the main. So we're all good, you know? And she looks great too. So now I actually do want to get my hands on the game. But again, it just felt like we weren't getting a ton of news, right? And I saw a meme on Twitter where it said like a year ago, this game had 6 characters and, you know, now a year later it has 8 characters. Like, it's like, yeah, it does feel like they haven't really been doing a whole lot with the game. Like, I'm a little confused as to, you know, what they're doing with the progress. And, you know, maybe there's a little bit of confusion. Maybe there's not like a big team working on the game. I'm not too sure. I haven't like looked too into it, right? But from my understanding, I thought, you know, they got the right people working on the game, but I wasn't aware of like how much money and resources actually went into this game. And from the looks of it, like now it seems like there ain't that much of Riot's resources being used for this game specifically, because the progress has just been very, very slow, you know? And I think that's why this video is kind of being made, is because I think they took a little too long with making this tag fighter, because now we have Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls, a Marvel tag fighter being made and coming out soon, you know? Well, I say soon, but it's, you know, 2026, which is not that soon. But still, by making a tag fighting game, Marvel is probably the one IP you don't want to go up against. And even though I say that, after already saying how they lost to Dragon Ball FighterZ, now you have Marvel being worked on by Arc System Works, the only developer to actually beat Marvel in a tag fighter release. Now you have a Marvel tag fighter being made by Arc System. Like, this is probably the worst possible outcome you could ask for as a tag fighter trying to release. And to be honest, that might be why they just decided to say, fuck it, we're releasing the game now, and, you know, as a closed beta, and then we'll, you know, release the final product later on. Because trying to compete with like an official release with that game, with, you know, Tōkon Fighting Souls, hell no. That's like trying to compete with the final boss of a game, and that final boss got like 100 times multiplier. Like, it's just, bro, like there's just no winning. There's just no winning whatsoever. And yeah, it's funny to think about, because I feel like before Marvel got announced, 2XKO had a pretty clean path to success. Like, there's not really any other tag fighter being made that like would stand a chance against a game like 2XKO that's free to play, that's, you know, looks really smooth, cross-plat. Like, it had everything going for it. It's Riot Games. Like, there was so much going for it, and there wasn't really much standing in the way. Wasn't much competition. I mean, yeah, in recent times we got a few other tag fighters announced, like Hunter x Hunter, you know, the Invincible fighting game, but let's be honest, they look kind of ass. Like, I mean, Hunter x Hunter apparently is ass, which, no surprise. I mean, I made a video a year ago, actually, when that game, you know, got some news about it, and like, you know, they were showing off the gameplay, and it looked ass to me back then, so it's no surprise that it's ass now. Like, I you know, whatever. But Invincible is like pretty new. Like, that game just got revealed, and, you know, not to hate on it, because I mean, I know a lot of people love Invincible, but it just didn't look great to me. Like, it looked kind of like a mobile game, and, you know, it looked kind of flat. I don't know, but maybe that game ends up being great, but to me, it just doesn't look that great. So I think in terms of being an actually like successful tag fighter, 2XKO just seemed like it had it all worked out. You know, it seemed like it was just a clear path to success, right? And I think the other big thing about this game being successful was that it was free to play and cross-plat. So for me, I feel like a lot of my friends that don't play fighting games, that play like on PC, I could be like, hey, let's try this game out. You know what I mean? And I feel like you can't really do that for a lot of fighting games. So I think that was a really big selling point. And, you know, I think that just set this game up to be, you know, really like, now I can be like, hey, let's hop on this game. I can play with them, like on a team, and we can just free to play against other people. And, you know, it's 4-player. We can do 2v2s. Like, I think that was such a huge selling point for this game. And I think it just, again, nothing was standing in the way of getting this game. Like, it was like, hey, it's free to play. They've made every entry point barrier like completely gone. You can play the game for free. You can play with your friends cross-platform. You can do combos not too difficult or whatever. Like, I mean, again, I haven't actually played the game, but like, it seemed like that's what they were going for, you know, making it easy to get into, hard to master. Like, it seemed like they had everything, every check mark checked. It seemed like they had every box checked off. But then Marvel was like, no, wait a minute. And they just, bam, they hit us with that reveal, and like, oh my God, now things are a little bit different. Also, in recent times, you know, we got the news of 2XKO saying, hey, well, the game's gonna come out with 10 characters, right? Pretty small roster for a tag fighter to release with. And I think that got a lot of backlash. People were not happy about that. And, you know, I guess to really address that, I should probably make a separate video. But I mean, like, I understand why people are mad, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't really know what people were expecting. You know, it's like 10 fighters that release. Okay, I mean, yeah, it is small for a tag fighter, but again, it is a free-to-play fighting game, and for it to look this good, like, you know, I don't really know how many characters we can expect, especially with how slow they've been moving. It's like, I don't know if I would say that they should take another 5 years to give us a full roster or just release the game now. Like, I think maybe, again, it's a small roster, but at the end of the day, I think the decision that they made was probably the best one. So yeah, but again, that's kind of a separate discussion for a separate video. But yeah, again, that backlash on top of Marvel announcing a new tag fighter, it's like, bro, now we got competition. You know, so which fighter is gonna be the most successful tag fighter between these two, right? I think it comes down to a few things. One, the Marvel IP versus the League of Legends IP, right? I think, you know, League of Legends is a pretty big IP, right? It has been an extremely popular game for an extremely long time. And you know, whether or not it rubs some people the wrong way, right? Like, I think League isn't for everyone. That's definitely true, but it is still, I think, a franchise that a lot of people know. And even if people don't play League, there is still, like, you know, Arcane. There is still other things, I think, that people can experience the League of Legends franchise and still kind of like enjoy it, right? And this will just be another way for that to happen. I feel like Marvel does kind of have the upper hand here with their IP because, hey man, like, there's so many Marvel games that like I grew up with, right? Like, bro, it's Marvel. It's fucking Marvel. There's like, we got the MCU, we got comic books, we got animated shows. Like, there's just so many things that Marvel fans like people are gonna be able to recognize Marvel and want to get this game over League. You know what I mean? Like, Marvel definitely has the upper hand when it comes to just the battle of IPs and like the franchise itself, right? Like, yeah, League is, you know, made a name for itself, right? Like, it's commendable, but when it comes to Marvel, I think, let's be honest, right? And not only does Marvel have a lot more going for it just with its name itself, but like, Marvel fans are already familiar with fighting games because of the Marvel vs. Capcom games. So trying to compete in a battle for a tag fighter, you know, good luck, right? Because like, the amount of people that were so happy when Marvel announced Tōkon Fighting Souls, like, and everybody was just like, oh my God, it's another Marvel fighting game. Like, everybody was so happy purely because of the nostalgia of Marvel vs. Capcom games and the impact that they've had in the FGC, like, over the years, you know, like, just the sheer amount of impact and legacy MVC has in the fighting game community made everybody so happy to see Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls announced. And, you know, 2XKO, it don't got that aura, man. It don't got that. It really doesn't have that. But that being said, though, one thing that 2XKO does have over Tōkon Fighting Souls is the fact that it's free to play, you know? And like, even though everybody was like, oh my God, it's Arc System Works, you know, Tōkon Fighting, so it's Marvel, like all these great things, but hey, it's one thing to gush over that, but the second we see that price though, you know what I'm saying? Because listen, more than likely it's finna be 70 bucks, but in today's times, shit, it might be 80, right? We talk about the deluxe edition, we're talking $120. Like, you know, the second we start seeing the price, people might start talking a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? Because the thing with games nowadays is that they are really expensive. It's no longer, you know, $60 for a new game. It's 70, 80, 90, you know, deluxe edition, 100, 110, 120. Ultimate edition 130. Like, you know, these prices are getting very high. And one example I can think of is, you know, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, right? I talked about this with my viewers on stream, and we're like, oh, we're so excited to play this game because it looks fun. It's Sonic, which I love, and everybody that is, you know, in my stream, they love Sonic. We all love Sonic. We all want a kart racer to play that's cross-plat because, you know, it's kind of annoying to hop on the Switch to play Mario Kart when, you know, we don't necessarily want to hop on the Switch, right? So it's like, this is the perfect game we've all been waiting for, but then we start talking about the price, and it's like, oh, $70, $80. And then everybody's getting kind of scared, kind of quiet. And they're like, yeah, I don't really want to pay $80 for this game, even though it's everything we've ever wanted and ever asked for. And, you know, I feel like that might be kind of the same sentiment with Marvel, is like, yeah, it's everything a lot of people have ever asked for, but for the casual, like, because obviously, you know, the FGC veterans, the Marvel heads, the FVC heads, they are all instant copying this game. They are buying this shit frame one, right? But for the average person, like, you know, that's $80. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody got that. And not everybody is, you know, going to want to spend that for potentially not enjoying the game, you know? And let's be honest, not everybody likes tag fighters, right? Like, some people are really into the FGC. Some people really love their Guilty Gear. They really love their Street Fighter, but they do not fuck with tag fighters. Like, tag fighters are a different beast in itself. You know what I'm saying? So I think that $80 entry fee might scare away a lot of normies. And especially if you combine that with the size of the roster, right? Because yeah, everybody was hating on 2XKO for having 10 characters at the start, which does seem small for a tag fighter, yes. But it's 10 characters at the start and it's gonna be forever growing. And I'm assuming that 2XKO is gonna add every character for free, and you're gonna be able to play as every new character for free, which would be a good idea, right? But for Tōkon Fighting Souls, right, let's say their roster is like 20 characters, right? 20 characters, but for $80, you know? And again, like, for the Marvel heads, for the FGC heads, of course they are gonna instant buy this game, but for the average Joe, for the average person, it's like, hey, do I wanna play a fighting game with, you know, not too many characters, but at least it's free and I can play with friends and they'll add new characters over time? Or do I want to pay $80, 80 bones, and maybe I don't like it and maybe I never touch it after a certain time? You know, that does kind of add a lot to think about. So I'm just saying, like, I know everybody's said only like nothing but good things about Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls, but like, these are kind of things to consider, like, that aren't necessarily good news for that game, that could end up making 2XKO a bit more successful. Maybe not, but it's, you know, definitely something to consider. Now, the other thing to consider is the layout of these games. 2XKO is 2v2, Marvel Tōkon is 4v4. Now, we do have team battles confirmed for 2XKO, but they're not confirmed as of the time of this recording for Marvel Tōkon. So will we be able to have like party battles like in Dragon Ball FighterZ, where we could have all 3 people on the same team be different people fighting against 3 other people? Because I think that would be awesome. If we could have 4v4 like squad battles, oh my God, that'd be so fire. That would be so fire. That's what I need, bro. But like the fact that we can do that in 2xko, even though it's not 4v4, 2v2, and we can all control like one character, that's really cool to me. That's like super cool to me. And I think that allows for the game to be like so much more fun. And, you know, again, if Marvel doesn't have that, but 2xko does, like, I'm just saying, you know, it's not gonna make or break which game's more successful, but it is gonna be something that, you know, the average person would probably consider. Like, hey, I can play this game where I can be on the same team as my friends against other people, versus Marvel where I have 4 characters, but it's still just me versus one other guy. You know, I can't have my friends be in the same team as me. Like, that's important. And I think, you know, that's why a lot of these games like Fortnite and Rivals are so successful, because you play them with your friends on the same team against other people. You don't have to play 1v1, you know, and I think that is pretty huge, right? Now that kind of goes into a deeper discussion of, you know, making fighting games more fun in general, and I've already made a video covering that. So if you guys want more of my thoughts on how to make fighting games more fun in general, definitely check out that video. But yeah, I think for the sake of this argument, you know, again, we don't have confirmation that Marvel Tōkon has like squad team battles where you can be on the same team and you can have a 4 different people in the same team fight against 4 other different people. We don't have that confirmation yet as of this recording. So we don't know if there's insane chaos fun to be had in that game, or if it's just gonna be more strict as a 1v1 fighting game. And also, you know, other things to consider, like how will the gameplay for Tōkon be? Now, as of the recording of this video, this is right before Evo weekend, so they haven't shown any actual gameplay. We've just seen screenshots. So by the time this video comes out, they may have shown gameplay, and well, actually no, they said they were going to be having a playable demo and stuff at Evo. So there will be gameplay shown by the time this video comes out. And I'm sure the game's going to look great. I'm sure it's going to be fun to play. But what I'm mainly getting at is, how will new people feel about the gameplay of this game? You know, will they be able to get into it, or will it be more so for experienced fighting game players, right? Will Marvel players, you know, MVC, Marvel vs. Capcom, will they expect or want something, you know, that's harder, something that's more challenging? And will they be let down by the fact that the game is actually taking more of an easy to play approach, right? Because that's also another argument, also something to consider. Like, Marvel vs. Capcom is a hard game. Like, that is not the game for the average Joe to play. So if Marvel players are going into this game hoping that it's going to be like that, they're going to be disappointed. And I think it comes down to, is this game, Tōkon, trying to please newcomers to fighting games or old comers to fighting games? And more specifically, you know, the Marvel vs. Capcom games, because that is the franchise that a lot of these, you know, people are going to come from when they're going into this game. Like, a lot of them are excited because it's Marvel again in a fighting game, but like at the same time, it's not. Like, this is not Marvel vs. Capcom. So are those people going to be let down? Is this game going to appeal to newcomers? You know, how is that going to shake things up? Because we already know the idea, the approach from 2xko. We know they're trying to be friendly, and people have already played the game. So, you know, we're not confused about that approach. But I do feel like with Tōkon, things might not look so great after people get their hands on the game. I personally am okay with whatever, but I'm just curious how people are going to react to actually playing the game versus just looking at it and watching it, because I'm sure it's going to look great. I mean, it's Arc System Works, right? You know, Marvel, like I said, Marvel is not a easy game. MVC2, one of the hardest fighting games of all time, if you ask, you know, the right people. Like, those combos are not easy, you know? And even MVC3 has pretty challenging combos to today's standards, in my opinion. So I feel like, you know, it just depends on what this game is trying to go for and who they're trying to appeal to. But it might not be for everyone. So I think it's overall going to come down to which game has the most addictive gameplay. And so far, both games look pretty good. So I don't know. I really don't know how it's going to go. And then, yeah, the other things that I would say are going to determine which tag fighter is more successful is, like, you know, how long will the support last for each game, right? Because, you know, Guilty Gear Strive has been supported for a pretty long time nowadays, and apparently they plan to keep supporting it. So, you know, that could be the same case for this game, but again, maybe not, right? Because at a certain point, Arc System really stopped caring about Dragon Ball FighterZ, and maybe that might be the case for this, right? Maybe them working on these big IP games like Dragon Ball and Marvel may not be the best for them. Maybe they might not actually like it, because I really do feel like at some point they hated making Dragon Ball FighterZ just because of, that's a whole other discussion. But what I'm saying is Guilty Gear is their baby. Like, that's their franchise. So, since now they're working on a Marvel, like a different IP that's not completely theirs, that might, complicate things when it comes to how long the game will be supported, right? Whereas 2XKO may not have that issue. And if the game is supported for a lot longer than Marvel, then that could end up leading to more success than Marvel Tōkon. And also, just things like tournaments, right? How big will these tournaments be? Are they gonna have like their own cups and circuits, right? Like for Marvel and for 2XKO, like, just other things, right? And if there's gonna be delays, which at this point it doesn't seem like there's gonna be any more delays for either game. So that's, I guess, all the real points that I had for which game I think is gonna be a better, more successful tag fighter. If there's anything I missed in which you think would help determine, which game will come out on top over the other, definitely let me know in the comments below. And also let me know what you guys think, which game is going to be more successful, 2XKO or Marvel Tōkon? And which game do you think you will be more likely to try or more likely to enjoy? Yeah, let me know all those things in the comments below. Please leave a like on the video and subscribe while you're at it. That would help me out a ton. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully I will catch y'all in the next one.